Okay, guys, funny story. I already recorded this reading. I already pulled everything, and then I realized, so I'm double checking because I'm paranoid, my microphone was not on. It didn't record any of it. So now I just get to run through this message even quicker with you. By the way, my name is Hope. Make sure you like, subscribe, support this channel, and I'll keep giving you very high quality readings that probably on subjects nobody's really gonna care to go into. Like this one. So let's talk about it. The runes that came out was Yera, which means year, Algis, which means elk, and Berkana, which means birch. And then the first tarot cards that we pulled out to go along with that, we have the Fool card under Yera. We have the Five of Cups reversed under Algis. And then we had the Queen of Swords come out under Berkana, along with the Ten of Swords reversed. It really wanted to come out with that Queen of Swords. So what I see from you is a new chapter. What I see, there was like so much concentrated information that came through, so I'm going to try and relay it to y'all kind of similar, in sort of a similar order. The year can also refer to harvest, sort of like the culmination of the entire year's work, but the cycle of harvest and seasons in the year. And it seems like one season is over and you are starting a fresh new season. And specifically away from a false community, a false sense of abundance. That's what it came through as, like a fake abundance. And so then we started talking about quality over quantity, especially in the realm of spirit. So what came through very heavily with the elk as a spiritual guide, but I was also seeing it sort of like how certain people might claim a certain level of advancement, or, just be addicted to comparing themselves to other people and applying hierarchy to people in ways that just don't apply and aren't accurate of reality. Specifically, people who think that they can be perfect and that perfection is something attainable, that other people have attained perfection before. And sadly, that is a lie. It is a lie to constantly keep you entrapped and feeling not good enough and disconnecting you from your heart and not allowing you to generate the proper and healthy amount of empathy that humans are capable of evolving to develop. What I got very heavily was this energy of communal narcissism, which is when a group of people form a hive mind collective and deem themselves as superior and gatekeep that community. So the perfect example of that off the top of the dome would be Zionism. So they religiously, genetically believe themselves to be chosen and superior than all people on the planet, and everyone else just could only ever hope to be like a Jew, like specifically a Zionist Jew. Just in case you weren't aware, you can be Jewish and not be Zionist. So going back to this message though, because communal narcissism applies to so many different groups, it's actually a plague. I would say it's a plague. And I think if you're coming to this reading, then you are realizing this too, that it is a plague, that these people will always be setting the precedent that you could never be as good as them, because these people have very arbitrary senses of what makes, they have a very arbitrary, what is the word I'm looking for? The things that they use as guideposts to compare themselves to other people. So let's say somebody is older than you. So they've been participating in the spiritual community longer than you. So they claim that that means they have more authority than you, that you shouldn't be allowed to speak, or that what you say shouldn't be listened to or valued as much. Like and that's what Yira makes me think of value and abundance and prosperity. And these people do not know how to value things. They have a very twisted, and like I'm saying, like narcissistic way of comparing themselves to people. But the truth is, perfection is a goal that we are never meant to and never expected to achieve. It is always an approximation. It's always an adjustment. There should always be motion and change. From our perspective, perfection could never be something stagnant. It could only ever exist outside of our mortal realm, an absolute and stagnant perfection. It just doesn't happen, though. That's not the way of the world. And the more something becomes stagnant, the more toxic and decomposed it becomes. And that's what we're seeing. You have people who feel like because they have perfectly memorized and adhered to the work of old or ancient people, that makes them better and more well-equipped than somebody who had their own spiritual revelation. So when we're talking about quality versus quantity, you have people who think like, oh, I have more spirit guides than you. I've had more radical, supernatural, psychic experiences than you. I've yada, 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 like more than you. But that doesn't necessarily speak to the quality of the impact that those experiences really had on a person. Whereas you can have somebody who just has one ultimate, life-changing, transformative spiritual experience, and they can just never go back. You know, it is like in science, a chemical change. It cannot be reversed. You have converted paper into carbon through fire. It's never gonna go back, you know? That is ultimate power, and it's so much more potent than somebody who, you know, more than likely has extremely poor spiritual boundaries and extremely diluted spiritual beliefs that they are just getting run through by spirits, you know? They just let anything come through them because they're addicted to feeling more powerful and like comparing themselves to people when they aren't even intelligent enough to properly ascribe value, you know? So I think you've come to this reading because you are coming to this conclusion, because you are tired of absolute disappointment, which is what I'm seeing with the Ten of Swords. You have these people who feel like, and this is why I was bringing up communal narcissism, they feel that they can just appropriate dangerous things, dangerous occult practices, dangerous esoteric practices that have been directly warned about, but they'll slap a label on it like, well, I'm doing it high vibrationally, so it's just not a problem because we're all so special, we're all so perfect and so elite that there's no way we could make a mistake. There's no way that darkness could weasel its way in there. even though that's like complete delusion. It's like the demon was already embedded in you when you had that idea in the first place. The audacity of you to think that you can have a hive mind and it somehow not get out of control or be toxic and literally just become actual vampirism and diluted elitism, where you are gatekeeping people who have an earnest love for creation and spirituality and being connected with the world around them. And then you've got people who are literally like pushing away, which is the exact opposite of love. Slapping labels on people and glorifying ancient perverts like Plato, right? Like I just saw something from Gigi Young where she's glorifying Plato, who literally tried to spiritualize the molestation of young boys, trying to say it's the most kind of pure love to ever exist, is when a teacher sexually grooms his fucking students, his child students. It's diluted. It's disgusting. You have these people who feel like because they liberated themselves from, pedo-Catholicism and went back into their roots, of Egyptian worship, and yet all they did was trace the roots of brainwashing back to Egypt. And this is where we get most of this brainwashing cult bullshit, where you have people who literally are so inbred because they are gods, they can't mate with just any old person, right? That they can barely live to the age of 20 before they die. And it's dehumanizing. It's cruel even for the so-called elites who are benefiting from it. It's literally poisonous to everyone. So going back to this whole quantity versus quality discussion, what I was seeing was a well. And so somebody might have a very deep, huge well full of water, but if that water is full of arsenic, mercury, lead, whatever, and it's poisoning you, it doesn't really matter how vast. It doesn't matter how many years that the water table has been filling this well or whatever. It doesn't matter because it's poisoned. If you're spraying Monsanto all over your apple tree, your apples are going to give you cancer. It's just as simple as that. And the truth is, like, when you have poisoned the root of something, anything that comes off of it is going to be toxic. And you can't just be over here intellectually with pairs of tweezers under a microscope and just ripping apart each little apple cell, trying to find and extract the poison or get the good parts of the apple out. It's just one bad apple has spoiled the bunch. It's not a pure source of information to be receiving from. We get in this diluted mindset that, like, the older something is, the more sacred or more accurate or more truthful that it is. But the truth is that humans have always been weak. We have always been victims. We have always been slaves and enslaving each other. We have been conquering and murdering each other. We have been stripping away our ancestral roots of our native spiritual practices and wisdom. And we have allowed perversion of all kinds of religion, Buddhism, all the Middle Eastern religions, anything, anything that has dogma. It was invented to keep slaves, to keep those disempowered and disconnected from the real truth, which comes from your heart. All I know is to call this Christ. That's the only name I know right now. But if I come up with a better name, I'll tell you. But it's your heart. It's the sun inside your chest. That is where you receive pure revelation. The light of your heart casting shadows that you need to look into, that you need to integrate and accept and transmute into wisdom, into empathy, which is the ultimate superpower that will help us actually approximate perfection. And I mean real empathy, not just cherry picking who we get to feel empathy for. I'm so sorry, you guys. Everything in the world just doesn't want this message to get out, which just means this message needs to get out like so bad. You're no longer going to be fed off of these people, because they literally, in order to have a hierarchy, they need scum at the bottom of the pyramid, and you are literally removing yourself from the equation. Because the truth is, these people can claim perfection because they just refuse to acknowledge their shadows. Like Buddhism, they just say, I don't have regrets. I just, not gonna look at it. 5 of Cups reversed. I'm just not, it's pure stagnancy to just deny the fact that you struggle, your own humility. It's insanity. And you're starting to realize that there is no higher quality of revelation, of spiritual wisdom, of spiritual power than that which is received directly from Source to you. And it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how traumatized or not traumatized you are. It doesn't matter how physically able or not you are. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter how many elitist pieces of shit, child raping assholes that you've read, that you've memorized. It doesn't matter how much Nazi esoterica you have supposedly reappropriated and made high vibrational. It's still Nazi esoterica. It's still a poisonous root. You're still eating Monsanto fucking apples. So the truth is, there is going to be this massive movement in spirituality where we just release this classical academic elitism that has never belonged and never had a place in spirituality. There is no hierarchy unless you are talking about the literal fabric of reality being layered and layered and layered into existence by angels. That's the only physical kind of hierarchy that there's going to be. But trying to communally, narcissistically hive mind yourself into some weird kind of comparison pyramid, it's bullshit. It is a scam. It's a scheme. And it's whoever is top freaking vampire gets to feed off of the dregs of society, and that's just not how that works. It means you have a problem if you are so weak that you need to believe that you are fundamentally better or closer to perfection than other people. So, these have been your messages. It took a lot to get it out, but I finally did it. So please make sure you like the video, subscribe, and I will see y'all next week. Thank you.